Welcome back, man. Patreon.com/, the Derrick Lamon Experience. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, whatever the hell, everywhere it is, you're all getting it at the same time because I have to share this with the world. I just saw Superman and I want to talk about it. It's not going to stay too long. This is not going to insist upon itself, but I think it was absolutely incredible. Congratulations to James Gunn. I think the DCEU may have a direction. I don't know where he goes from here, but I think he did a masterful job. Um, my daughter and I were just talking. She gave it a 9 out of 10. I actually am giving it an 8.5 out of 10, but this is still a good film. I'm going to tell you my caveats and why I'm only giving it an 8 and a half. Okay, so it is a modern telling of Superman. There is no origin story. As James Gunn said in some interview, he's like, every time that we do a superhero film, we don't need to see somebody get bitten by a radioactive spider or a spaceship crash from another planet or something like that. Obviously, speaking of Spider-Man getting bitten and Kal-El coming to Earth from Krypton, right? So it's not a an origin story. Superman's already been here for a while. He's already supering, and how do you deal with the ills of society and the ills of the world and do it in a modern era? There's social media in here, and literally, part like there are hashtags about Superman being terrible and stuff like that. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to spoil the movie. I apologize. That's all I'm gonna say. It is a very, very modern movie, and that is my only. It's not a caveat that it's modern. It's you are going to see modern things in society in this film, so I do want to let you know that, right? Um, the actress who played Miss Tessmacher, I liked her. Don't get me wrong. I think that it's also a byproduct of the film being a modern telling of Superman. Miss Tessmacher and this Christopher Reeve Superman, she was she came off very glamorous and she was very attractive. But I'm not saying she was like a Stepford wife or anything like that, but there was like this aura of her and the way that she carried herself. It's different this time. But then again, this is a modern telling of Superman. I was looking for one of my Superman shirts to wear to the film, and the one I wore fit perfectly. I'm 100% certain that somebody that was on this Superman shirt that I wore tonight, there is a version, and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is very, very cool. Like, I did not know. And it just so happens that I wore this shirt. And then there was something else that took place, and I was like, holy shit. And I started clapping. And my daughter's like, what is going on? I'm like, I'll explain when we get out the theater. So I thought that was really cool. And I had to explain the reference to her. I could say something and I wouldn't say anything about the movie, but I could say something. And if you're a fan of another medium where someone is a fan of Superman, you'd be like, oh, I know what he's talking about. So I'm not going to do that because it would still be a spoiler. Um, Obviously, you know that there are some members of the Justice League in the film. That's really cool. It's really cool. This is a James Gunn film through and through, and the evidence of that is the use of colors and like the way James Gunn uses colors as part of the VFX and stuff like that in his films. I was like, oh yeah, this has James Gunn DNA all over it. And then there was another sequence where there is a fight sequence, and then you put like, I don't know the song, but you could tell it's like a popular music type of song. It's like maybe top 40 whenever it came out. I don't know, but I was like, oh, this is total James Gunn. Like he put this right over the top of this fight sequence, and the angles and the shots and stuff like that and the reactions. This is total James fucking Gunn, right? So I really love that. I was like, it's a modern telling. Also, I'm a St. Louis guy. I'm from St. Louis, born and raised. James Gunn is a St. Louis guy, so I'm gonna support my guy. You know what I mean? Um, there's direction here. There's direction for the DCEU. So again, my only caveat was it is a little too modern, a little too modern, right? But other than that, it's a great film. I thought I love Kevin Spacey. Let me rephrase that. Was a huge Kevin Spacey fan until the things came out about Kevin Spacey. But I do think he's one of the most brilliant, talented actors of our time. And even he couldn't truly capture what it means to be Lex Luthor. And I'm just going into this and I'm like, I love Nick Hout, but can anybody be better than what is my guy's name? And I was just thinking about him and now I can't think Jesus Christ. What's his name? Um I cannot think of his freaking name. He was in the French Connection and boy, this is crazy. So I have to Google it. Gene fucking Hackman, rest in peace, because Gene Hackman just passed away. Just passed away back in February. And I don't know why, but and I didn't think that anybody could be better than Gene Hackman. Just point blank period. I'm like to this day, I understand Heath Ledger's Joker was amazing. So was Jack's. And people are like, well, why can't you decide? And I'm like, I think that Heath Ledger benefited from a darker script. And I think Nicholas, or Jack Nicholson, I'm sorry, he was tasked with creating a Joker for the time period that that film was made in. That Batman film came out in 1989, and it really Superman the movie sort of it kickstarted the superhero film, right? Because I think the tagline that they said was, "This Christmas you will believe that a man can fly." When we got to Batman in 1989, I'm 7 years old, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool!" Like, and what Jack did with his Joker was equally as good, in my opinion, as what Heath Ledger did with his Joker. The difference in all of this is the director and the screenplay. Nolan's Joker is very dark and it's a much darker time. And I think Nolan's Batman trilogy is one of the greatest film trilogies of all time. That does not take anything away from what Jack did with his version of the Joker because he took what Burton gave him and he made it gold. A lot of people, I'm not going to call it recency bias because that Dark Knight film came out in 2008 and it's now 2025. So I think Heath Ledger still deserves all his flowers posthumously. But I still think that we should not act like Jack didn't get on that fucking screen and do what Jack does. You know what I mean? Um, so there's apples and oranges. And again, I say all that to say this. This brings me back to my point. I love Nick Hout. I just didn't think anybody could be better than Gene Hackman. Because when the casting was announced for Superman Returns, I'm like, okay, Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, this should be interesting. And then it didn't hit. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, Kevin Spacey clearly has the acting chops. So maybe it's the screenplay, maybe it's the director. And Superman Returns just it's kind of all over the place. Didn't really hit the way it did. And I hate to say this because I don't want to tear any actors down. I just don't think Jesse Eisenberg was the right choice for Lex Luthor. So, and I will go to my grave feeling like that. And I think Jesse Eisenberg is a phenomenal actor. I just don't think that he was right for Lex Luthor. Point blank, period. I walked out of this theater and thought to myself, I love Nick Hout. And my preconceived notions about what he's going to be able to do as Lex Luthor were completely fucking wrong because he absolutely delivered. He delivered. He felt as evil as Lex Luthor had ever been. I thought it was absolutely great. There's so many twists and turns, the way he conducted himself, the way he delivered his lines, his mannerisms, everything. Bravo, Nicholas Hout. He did a phenomenal job, and I'm gonna take my hat off to you, sir, because I thought you absolutely killed it. So, all in all, yeah, I liked it. Actually, I'm not. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was a great film. I thought everybody did a great job. I was so impressed by everyone. Rachel Brosnahan. Rachel Brosnahan is the best Lois Lane since Margot Kidder and Superman the movie and Superman 2 and all that stuff. Kate Bosworth, somebody else I really like as an actress. I think the casting for Superman Returns, that was kind of a hodgepodge cast. You had like Parker Posey, and then you had Kate Bosworth, and you had Brandon Routh, and you had Kevin Spacey, and then you had Cal Penn. And like I think Cal Penn was actually working in the White House at the time. It was just really, that cast was really, really hodgepodge and like kind of thrown together. And I just don't think that they all had chemistry. James Marsden was in Superman Returns. Um, they just didn't feel like they had any chemistry, in my opinion. But the casting for this film was absolutely phenomenal. Isabel Merced, great as Hawk Girl. I just thought that everybody did a really, really good job. And you've got like the voice of Alan Tudyk, and you've got Nathan Fillion, and just like this cast was bravo, hats off. So I think they have a direction. I believe in James Gunn. I trust in James Gunn. I think we got something to build on here. I'm looking forward to the rest of the DCEU. I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, of course. I'm going to end this like I end everything else. Excuse me. I'm going to end this like I end everything else. Believe in yourself first and foremost, because if you don't believe in yourself, of course, nobody else will believe in you. As always, my name is Derrick Lamon Jackson, and that is my time. I just realized how low the lights were. Anyway, I got to go. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.